Tell you the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth.
Thank you. May lawyer Hand please answer the state's questions?
Sir, will you please state your full name for the record
Christopher David Skinner,
and your date of birth
C2877,
and the last four digits of your social security number?
8250.
Have you ever been known by any other name or alias?
No.
Where were you born?
Springfield, Missouri.
How far did you go in school?
Graduate,
Can you read, write, graduate, is that from high school or college?
high school.
Can you read, write, and understand the English language?
No,
Are you under the influence of any drugs or alcohol?
no, ma'am.
Are you taking any medication?
I got a medical marijuana card.
Okay, and have you used the marijuana recently?
This weekend.
Okay, did you use it this morning?
No, ma'am.
Okay, are you currently suffering from the effects of that marijuana to the fact that it would affect your ability to understand what you're doing here today?
No, ma'am.
Are you suffering from a mental condition or disorder?
No, ma'am.
Do you understand why we're here today?
Yes, I do.
You are charged in count one of the information in 20 CF 566 with failure to redeliver a fired vehicle as a third degree felony punishable by up to 5 years in Florida State Prison. To that charge, how do you wish to plead?
No contest.
And in 20 CF 571, count one of the information, you're charged with possession of controlled substance, it's a third degree felony, punishable by up to an additional 5 years in Florida State Prison. To that charge, how do you wish to plead?
No contest.
And you understand that because of the possession of controlled substance charge of the drug charge, your driving privilege is going to be suspended for 6 months.
Yes, ma'am.
You also understand that by entering this plea, you're waiving your right to have a jury trial.
Yes, ma'am.
You're also waiving your right to have that jury determine whether you're guilty or innocent.
Yes,
You'd like
ma'am.
to see and hear the state's witnesses testify and have your attorney question those witnesses.
Yes, ma'am.
The right to subpoena and call your own witnesses and submit evidence on your own behalf.
Yes, ma'am.
The right to testify on your own behalf or choose to remain silent. And the right to make the state prove these charges beyond a reasonable doubt. You give up all those rights. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, have you reserved any matters for appeal?
No.
Sir, do you understand that you've given up the right to appeal on all grounds except whether this court can impose the sentence today?
Yes, ma'am.
I'm going to show you your 4-page score sheet, and it shows that you score 53.1 points, which is to a minimum lowest permissible sentence of 18.825 months in Florida State Prison and to a maximum of 10 years in Florida State Prison. Do you agree that the score sheet is accurate?
Yes, I agree. It's accurate.
Do you have any questions for your attorney in regards to the score sheet? I'd also show you a 2-page plea form, it's front and back. Have you had a chance to read over this form?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you understand it?
Yes, I do.
Did you discuss it with your attorney?
No, ma'am. I've been down this road before, though.
Do you have a chance to discuss it with your attorney?
No, ma'am.
But you did read it and you understand everything on it?
Yes.
And is that your signature here on the back?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you sign that to indicate that you're in agreement with all the terms and conditions of this plea and that you understand everything on this form?
Yes, ma'am.
And is it your signature right here on the back?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you sign that to indicate you're satisfied with your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
Other than what's contained on the plea form and what was discussed on the record, has anyone promised you anything in exchange for this plea?
No, ma'am.
Are you entering this plea of your own free will?
Yes, I am.
Are you being forced or threatened by anyone?
No, ma'am.
Are you pleading because given your options, you believe this plea is in your own best interest?
I do.
Do you understand that you're going to be placed on first community control and that there will be no early conversion from that 1 year? You'll be on community control that full year as long as there's no violations. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am.
And that will be followed by 3 years of probation. And you understand that while you may be able to request the court after half time of probation to early terminate, there's no guarantees.
Yes, ma'am.
Are you satisfied with the advice and counsel of your attorney?
I am.
Have you done everything you've asked and answered all your questions?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, have you reviewed all discovery in this case with your client?
Yes.
So is that accurate?
Yes, ma'am.
Is there anything you wanted to review you were not able to review?
No, ma'am.
I'm unaware of any physical evidence that could be tested for DNA. Counsel, do you agree with that?
Yes.
Sir, do you understand if you're not a U.S. citizen, you may be subjected to removal or deportation as a result of this plea?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you understand that if you are deported as a result of this case, it will not be a basis to withdraw this plea?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you need any additional time to discuss this with your counsel?
No.
If the offense to which you're pleading is a sexually violent offense or sexually motivated offense, or if you have previously been convicted of such an offense, this plea may subject you to involuntary civil commitment as a sexually violent predator upon completion of your sentence. Do you understand this one?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, do you stipulate the factual basis of any for purposes of the plea?
I do.
Your Honor, the state would ask the court to take judicial notice of its file in 20 CF 571 and 20 CF 566, and at this time, the state would turn the plea.
Mr. Zonas, any additional defense request?
Nothing further.
Based on the plea agreement, the plea colloquy, the pleas of no contest, and the arrest affidavit facts in support thereof, court accepts the plea agreement and approves the plea agreement as stated as to case number ending 566. As agreed, adjudication, 1 year community control, agreed, no early conversion, followed by 1 year regular supervision. Mr. Skinner can report today here in Collier.
Yes, Your Honor.
Does supervision need to be transferred anywhere?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Restitution ordered and reserved, costs of court, Madam Clerk, on this case number 415.
Yes, Judge.
Prosecution 100, there were no investigative costs requested. Concurrent terms on case number ending 571, adjudication, followed by 1 year community control, 1 year regular supervision, no early conversion, concurrent with all other cases. On this case, substance abuse evaluation, follow recommendation, random testing, statutory 6-month driver license suspension. Court authorizes and notes on the judgment and sentence. It authorizes a business purpose or hardship license. Court costs $415 again.
Yes, Judge.
Prosecution 100, investigative 273. Mr. Zonas, any objection to the monetary amounts?
No, Your Honor.
Any other details for either side?
No, Your Honor, this is, again, a below guideline sentence, so the court would need to check on the fact that it's a legitimate unforced plea bargain.
Thank you for resolving your case, Mr. Skinner. Please step over here for the prints.
Judge, I have 3 years probation. Is it 3 or 1?
3 years,
It's
1 year
one year
community control.
All right, I misstated that. Then on each one is the same, but it's concurrent, but it's 3 on the regular supervision following the 1 year community control.
Thank you, Your Honor. Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Mr.
I'm not sure which of the gentlemen in the audience arrived first. I thought the gentleman over here with the Nike shirt.
Mr. Perez.
All right, who is counsel for Mr. Perez? Are you ready on that, Mr. Khalil?
Yes, Your Honor.
All right,
And we do have 3 in the jail.
right, and then I'll alternate from the jail and the one remaining in the audience. All right, Mr. Perez, if you want to come up here, please, thank you. Morning, please be seated. And this is Mr. Perez with Mr. Khalil for the defense, Ms. Wilson for the state. And I'm looking for that case, one moment, 20 CF 1603. No interpreter needed.
No, Your Honor.
All right. Hello, Mr. Perez.
Good morning, Your Honor.
Okay. What are the agreed terms?
And Your Honor, the agreed terms are an adjudication, 36 months probation, restitution of $3,482.21 at a rate of $150 a month, no contact, no trespass, mental health evaluation, all recommendations, court costs, cost of prosecution, cost of investigation of $132 to Collier County Sheriff's Office and public defender fees.
Any clarifications from the state?
No, Your Honor, that is correct.
Does Mr. Perez want anything else addressed?
No, he wants to let me know, or in the court know, he is in David Lawrence Center in Immokalee, and so he is currently completing that mental health evaluation.
All right, so any further clarification on that, Madam Prosecutor?
No, Your Honor.
All right. And Madam Clerk, please have Mr. Perez sworn and ready.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
The whole truth, I swear.
Thank you, Mr. Perez. You can be seated. Please answer the state's questions.
Sir, would you please state your full name for the record?
Armando Miguel Perez.
And what is your date of birth
January 20, 1971,
and the last four digits of your social security number?
8421.
Where, have you ever been known by any other name or alias?
No, ma'am.
Where were you born?
I was born here in Naples.
How far did you go in school?
10th, midway 10th grade, but I am a GED diploma holder.
Okay. And can you read, write, and understand English language?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you under the influence of any drugs or alcohol?
No, ma'am.
Are you taking any medication from a doctor?
And I am prescribed. I have 2 prescriptions.
Okay. And are you taking the medication as prescribed?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you taken it today?
Due to prescriptions, yes.
Okay. And does it affect your ability to understand those proceedings?
No, ma'am.
Are you suffering from a mental condition or disorder?
At this moment, no.
And you said this morning, is this a condition that you have suffered in the past?
Not legally, but willingly, yes. That I'm taking prescriptions for my better being.
Okay. Does the condition that you're referring to, does it affect your ability to understand these proceedings?
No.
Do you understand why you're here today?
Yes, I do.
Are you charged with, you were charged with count 1 of the information in 20 CF 1603 with criminal mischief, $1,000 or more, which is 33 felony, punishable by up to 5 years in Florida State Prison. For that charge, how do you wish to plead?
No contest.
And you understand that criminal mischief is an enhanceable offense, which means in the future you could have higher fines, court costs, and consequences?
Yes.
Okay. And do you understand that by entering this plea, you're waiving your right to have a jury trial?
Yes.
Right. And do you understand you also give up the right to have that jury determine whether you're guilty or innocent?
Yes.
You give up the right to see and hear the state's witnesses testify and have your attorney question those witnesses?
Yes.
The right to subpoena and pardon witnesses and submit evidence on your own behalf?
Yes.
The right to testify in your own defense or choose to remain silent?
I choose to remain silent.
Yeah, no, I'm talking about, do you understand that if you'd had a trial, you would have had the right to testify in your own defense, or you would have had the right to remain silent? And that by entering this plea today, you're giving up those rights. Do you understand that?
Yes.
All right. And you also have the right to make the state prove the charges beyond a reasonable doubt. Do you understand that?
Yes.
Counsel, have you observed any matters for appeal?
No.
Sir, do you understand that you're giving up the right to appeal on all grounds except whether this court can impose this sentence?
Yes.
I'm going to show you your 4-page score sheet. It shows that you scored to 27.8 points and to a maximum of 5 years in Florida State Prison. Do you have a chance to go over this form?
Yes.
And is it accurate?
Yes.
And do you have any questions of your attorney in regards to the form?
No, ma'am.
All right. And I'm also going to show you your 2-page score sheet. It's front and back. Have you had a chance to read over this form?
My lawyer has advised me of this.
Okay. Did you have a chance to read over it?
Yes.
Okay. Did you understand everything that was on it?
Yes, ma'am.
And you said you did discuss it with your attorney?
Yes, ma'am. Just before we came in.
Okay. And do you have any questions of the form that you would like to ask your attorney now?
No, ma'am.
And did you have a chance to sign, is this your signature right here on the back?
Both signatures, yes, ma'am.
Yes. And did you sign there to indicate that you're in agreement with all the terms and conditions of this plea and that you understand everything that's on the form?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you sign right here also?
Yes, ma'am.
Did you sign that to indicate that you're satisfied with your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
And do you understand that there's going to be a confidential no contact order of restitution in an amount of $3,482.21, and that it will be paid at a minimum of $150 a month as a condition of your probation? Do you understand that? And are you in agreement with that?
Yes, I am.
All right. And there's also a confidential order of no trespass at the address of defense. Do you understand agreement with the judge signing that?
Yes, ma'am.
Other than what's contained on the plea form and what we've discussed from the record, does anyone promise you anything in exchange for this plea?
No, ma'am.
Are you entering this plea of your own free will?
My own free will, yes.
Are you being forced or threatened by anyone?
No, ma'am.
Are you pleading because given the options, you believe this plea is in your own best interest?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, do you understand that you're being placed on probation and that there's no guarantee that you can be able to terminate your probation early? You understand that?
I understood it halfway through, I could return it.
As long as you completed everything, and you have a right to petition the court, but it's not a guarantee that it'll be granted by the judge.
It's understood.
Okay. Are you satisfied with the advice and counsel of your attorney?
Yes, ma'am.
Has he done everything you've asked and answered all your questions?
Yes.
Counsel, have you reviewed all the discovery in this case with your client?
Yes.
Sir, was there anything you wanted to review in this case that you did not have a chance to review?
No, ma'am. I'm satisfied.
Okay. I'm unaware of any physical evidence that can be tested for DNA. Counsel, do you agree with that?
Yes.
Sir, do you understand if you're not a U.S. citizen, you may be subject to removal or deportation as a result of this plea?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you understand if you are deported as a result of this case, it will not be a basis to withdraw the plea?
It's understood, yes.
And do you need any additional time to discuss that with your counsel?
No, ma'am.
If the offense to which you're pleading is a sexually violent offense or sexually motivated offense, or if you have previously been convicted of such an offense, this plea may subject you to involuntary civil commitment as a sexually violent predator upon completion of your sentence. Do you understand this warning?
Yes, ma'am.
Counsel, you stipulate the factual basis of bidding for purposes of the plea?
Yes.
Now, at this time, the state requests the court take judicial notice of its file on 20 CF 1603 and statement to the plea.
Any additional defense request?
Yes, Your Honor, he has a case out of Broward County, 19-14-494 CF 10A. We're just asking that the Broward case be run concurrent to this case.
Is that case resolved?
Yes, Your Honor.
Any state comment?
Your Honor, we would agree, it can run concurrent, but I would say, I don't know the terms on that, but not coterminous.
It's also 36 months.
And there was any victim opposition or law enforcement opposition to the plea agreement, Ms. Wilson?
No, Your Honor.
Will the no contact or no trespass orders be problematic for Mr. Perez?
No, Your Honor.
And the payment of the restitution, will that be paid to probation and they distribute it, or how will that occur?
To probation.
Okay, because there is a no contact order. There are no competency issues affect the entry of the plea.
No, Your Honor.
All right, at this time, based on the plea agreement, plea colloquy, the arrest affidavit, facts in support thereof, and the plea of no contest, court accepts the plea agreement. Adjudication of guilt as agreed, 36 months regular supervision, reporting today, Mr. Khalil.
Yes, Your Honor.
And any need to transfer supervision anywhere?
No.
Restitution is agreed to be $3,482.21 payable at a rate of $150 per month. No contact, no trespass orders approved. Mental health evaluation, follow recommendations. Court costs $415.
Yes, Judge.
Prosecution 100, investigative 132, public defender total charge 150. Any objection, any monetary amounts?
No, Your Honor.
Any other terms to be addressed?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you for resolving your case, Mr. Perez. Please step over here for the prints. Good luck.
Have a great day.
Does the jail have a preference as to who we call next?
No preference.
All right, is there any prosecutor or defense counsel that needs to be called earlier for any reason? I would like to address one of the jail cases. Are we ready on one of those?
Yes, Your Honor. We could take Alex Arias.
Mr. Arias, please. And then I'll address the gentleman in the audience next after that. All right, hello, Mr. Arias, can you hear us?
Yes, sir.
Very good. And there are several cases, 20 CF 1562, 1602. Looks like those two. What are the agreed terms?
Your Honor, on case number 20 CF 1602, it's an adjudication, 364 days jail, credit time served, no contact, no trespass, restitution of $120 to the victim,
How much?
120.
Okay.
Court costs, cost of prosecution, cost of investigation of $689 to the Collier County Sheriff's Office, public defender fees. And on 1562, it's adjudication, 364 days, credit time served, 6 months driver's license revocation, Court cost of prosecution, cost of investigation of $273 to Collier County Sheriff's Office and public defender fees.
Any clarifications by the state?
Yeah, just make sure it's stated, it's adjudication 364 days in jail. So, and the driver's license revocation is only for counties.
Any agreements on business purpose or hardship license?
Your Honor, we would ask the court to have no objection to a hardship license.
State any objection?
No, Your Honor.
Granted. To be reflected on the judgment and sentence. Mr. Arias, any questions about the terms?
I didn't hear the last part of the license.
It'll be a 6-month statutory driver license suspension. The court will authorize a business purpose or hardship license, but it's still subject to administrative review by motor vehicle department.
Okay.
Are you willing to accept these terms?
Yes, Your Honor.
Please raise your right hand, be sworn by the clerk.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. May lower your hand. Please answer the state's questions.
And Your Honor, I'll need to submit the order of restitution and the no trespass order and no contact order to the judge's office.
There are no objections to the monetary amounts, Mr. Khalil?
No, Your Honor.
I missed that, I'm sorry.
And so I'm gonna have to submit the confidential no contact order, no trespass,
Oh, okay.
and the order of restitution to the court, to the judge's office.
Okay, that's fine, thank you.
And we got this one
Yes.
in. Okay, sir, would you please state your full name for the record?
Alex Jacinto Arias,
And what is your date of birth?
2/13/1985,
The last 4 digits of your social security number?
4948.
Have you ever been known by any other name or alias?
No, ma'am.
Where were you born?
Los Angeles, California.
How far did you go in school?
Excuse me?
How far did you go in school?
I graduated high school.
Can you read, write, and understand the English language?
Yes, ma'am.
We are handling this plea remotely through an audio video system instead of you being here in the court. Are you in agreement with handling the plea in this manner?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you under the influence of any drugs or alcohol?
No, ma'am.
Are you taking any medication?
Yes.
Are you taking the medication as prescribed?
Excuse me?
Are you taking the medication as prescribed?
Yes, ma'am.
Have you taken it yet today?
Yes, ma'am.
And does it affect your ability to understand these proceedings?
No.
Are you suffering from a mental condition or disorder?
Well, I guess my seizure is a mental disorder, I guess. No? I don't know.
So you suffer from seizures, is that what you just said?
Yeah.
Okay. So other than that, do you suffer from any type of mental condition or disorder?
No.
You understand why we're here today?
Yes, ma'am.
You are charged in count one of the information in 20 CF 1562 with possession of controlled substance as a 3rd-degree felony punishable by up to 5 years in Florida State Prison. To that charge, how do you wish to plead?
No contest.
In count 2 of the information, you're charged with possession of paraphernalia as a 1st-degree misdemeanor punishable by an additional 1 year in the Collier County Jail. To that charge, how do you wish to plead?
No contest.
In 20 CF 1602, you were charged in count 1 of the information with false verification of ownership to a pawnbroker. That's a 2nd-degree felony punishable by up to 15 years in Florida State Prison. To that charge, how do you wish to plead?
No contest.
And you understand that because you're pleading to and going to be convicted of a drug charge, that your driver's privilege is going to be suspended for a period of 6 months?
Yes, ma'am.
And sir, do you understand that by entering this plea, you're waiving your right to a jury trial?
Yes, ma'am.
You're also waiving your right to have the jury determine whether you're guilty or innocent.
Yes, ma'am.
The right to see and hear the state's witnesses testify and to have your attorney question those witnesses.
Yes, ma'am.
The right to subpoena and call your own witnesses and to submit evidence on your own behalf.
Yes, ma'am.
The right to testify on your own behalf or choose to remain silent.
Yes, ma'am.
and the right to have the state prove these charges beyond a reasonable doubt. You're giving up all those rights. Do you understand that?
Yes, ma'am, I do.
Counsel, have you reserved any matters for appeal?
I have not.
Sir, do you understand you're giving up the right to appeal on all grounds except whether this court can impose this sentence today?
Yes, I do.
Have you had a chance to go over a score sheet with your attorney?
We didn't go through it, but I went through it myself.
Okay, if you score 37.2 points and to a maximum of 20 years in Florida State Prison, in addition, you would have the 1 year on the misdemeanor charge. You agree that the score sheet is accurate?
I guess, I'm not sure.
Did you have a chance? You said you looked over it, correct?
Yeah, I looked over it, but I don't know what the points of the words, that's,
Okay,
I'm not a
so,
lawyer to know that.
all right, you saw that, do you agree that all the priors that are listed on it are accurate?
Yeah,
All right, and so do you have any questions of your attorney in regards to what you score to and what your maximum is?
no, ma'am.
Sir, have you had a chance to read over a plea form over there? Did you understand it?
Yes.
Did you discuss it with your attorney?
Do they?
Did you discuss the plea form with your attorney?
Yes.
And do you have any questions you want to ask him at this time in regards to the plea form?
No, ma'am.
Did you, it's a two-page plea form, correct? Front and back?
Yes, ma'am.
And did you sign it in 2 locations on the back?
Yes, ma'am.
In first location, did you sign it to indicate you're in agreement with the terms and conditions and that you understand everything that's on the plea form?
Yes, I did.
And did you sign at the bottom of the plea form to indicate that you're satisfied with your attorney?
Yes, I did.
Other than what is contained in the plea form or what we discussed on the record, has anyone promised you anything in exchange for this plea?
No.
Are you entering this plea of your own free will?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you being forced or threatened by anyone?
No.
Are you pleading because, given your options, you believe this plea is in your own best interest?
Yes.
And you, are you satisfied with the advice and counsel of your attorney?
Yes.
Has he done everything you've asked and answered all your questions?
Yes, ma'am.
You're going to be receiving 364 days in the Collier County Jail with credit for time served. And that while you may be entitled to gain time or early release, do you understand that there are no guarantees and that there is no promises on how much you will receive? Do you understand that?
Right. Yeah.
Councilor, have you reviewed all the discovery in this case with your client?
Yes.
Sir, was there anything you wanted to review in this case that you did not have a chance to review?
No, ma'am.
I am unaware, Your Honor, of any physical evidence that could be tested for DNA. Counsel, are you in agreement with that?
Yes.
Sir, do you understand if you're not a U.S. citizen, you may be subject to removal or deportation as a result of this plea?
Yes, ma'am.
And you understand that if you are deported as a result of this case, it will not be a basis to withdraw the plea?
Yes, ma'am.
Do you need any additional time to speak to your attorney in regards to that matter?
No, ma'am.
If the offense to which you're pleading is a sexually violent offense or a sexually motivated offense, or if you have previously been convicted of such an offense, this plea may subject you to involuntary civil commitment as a sexually violent predator upon completion of your sentence. Do you understand this warning?
Yes.
Counsel, will you stipulate to a factual basis and venue for purposes of the plea?
Yes.
Your Honor, the state would ask the court to take judicial notice of its file in 20 CF 1562 and 20 CF 1602, and the state would tender the plea.
Anything else, Mr. Galil?
No, Your Honor, but for the court's record, I do have a note from March 29th where I went over the score sheet. If Mr. Arias has any other questions, I'll be available to answer any of those questions.
Mr. Arias, you're okay with the score sheet?
Yeah, I'm good. I'm good with it.
All right. Based on the plea agreement, plea colloquy, the pleas of no contest, and arrest affidavit facts, court accepts the plea agreement as to both cases, concurrent terms, adjudication all counts, 364 days, Collier County Jail credit all time served. Case number 1562, 6-month driver license suspension, business purpose or hardship license authorized. Prosecution costs 100, investigative 273, court 415, public defender total 150. Case number ending 1602. On that one, in addition to the terms already announced, no contact or trespass orders approved, restitution, yes, $120, court $415, prosecution $100, public defender charges $150, investigative $689. Anything else for either side?
Your Honor, I will do a civil lien for the restitution order. However, we'd ask all monetary, that's left remaining that would be referred to collections since he's going to serve time.
Approved. Anything else?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you for resolving your case. Ms. Fish, you have a case in waiting in the audience? No. What is the gentleman's name?
Michael Martinez, Your Honor.
Please come up, Mr. Martinez, and then Ms. Fish, we can call your case after that. Mr. Martinez, 21 CF 62. Hello, Mr. Martinez. Please be seated. Mr. Khalil for the defense, Mr. Frazier for the state. Comments?
Your Honor, this will be a plea of no contest. The offer is a withhold, 18 months of probation, substance abuse evaluation, follow recommendations, random testing, court cost of prosecution, cost of investigation of $1,378 to Collier County Sheriff's Office. That is joint and severable with the co-defendant. We're asking that probation be transferred to Hillsborough.
To where?
Hillsborough?
Oh, Hillsborough, okay.
Reporting today here in Collier.
Yes, Your Honor.
And joint and several, is the other defendant already resolved his case, Mr. Frazier?
No, Your Honor, the co-defendant has not. The co-defendant is has a substantially more significant charge. The case number for the court, Madam Clerk, is 21 CF 65.
And you understand, Mr. Martinez, you understand that if the co-defendant for some reason is not found guilty in his case, that you might owe the whole amount on this one?
I understand.
Okay. And any questions about the terms?
No, Your Honor.
Anything else, Mr. Khalil?
No, Your Honor.
All right. Is he going to sign the plea form?
Yes.
All right. Any other clarification, Mr. Khalil?
No, Your Honor.
And Mr. Martinez, please be sworn by the clerk. You can remain seated.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
I do.
Thank you. May lawyer Hand please answer the state's questions.
Sir, can you please state your full name and your date of birth?
Michael Dylan Martinez, 5/24/83,
And the last four digits of your social security number, if you know it.
1438.
Sir, have you ever been known by any other name or an alias?
No.
Where were you born?
Fort Lauderdale.
Here in Florida, correct?
Yes.
Okay. And what's the highest level of school that you've completed?
Second year of college.
Are you able to read, write, and understand the English language?
I am.
Are you under the influence of any drugs or alcohol today?
No.
Are you taking any medication?
Yes.
Have you taken that medication today?
Yes.
Was that medication taken the way that the physician prescribed it?
Yes.
Does the fact that you took that medication affect your ability to understand or participate in today's plea hearing?
No.
And do you suffer from any mental condition or disorder?
No.
Do you understand why we're here today?
Yes.
In case number 21 CF 62, you've been charged with one count, possession of a controlled substance. That's a third-degree felony with a maximum penalty of 5 years in the state prison. As to the maximum penalty, do you understand what that is?
Yes.
And as to the charge of possession of a controlled substance, how do you wish to plead?
No contest.
Sir, did you understand all of the terms of the plea agreement as your lawyer stated them for the court?
Yes.
And one of those terms was that you would be receiving a withhold of adjudication. Do you understand that if you were to have a violation of probation, one of the consequences of that would be if the court found that you did willfully and substantially violate that probation, the withhold of adjudication can be removed and you could be adjudicated as a felon?
Yes.
And do you understand that an additional consequence of being adjudicated on this charge is that you'd be subject to a 6-month driver's license revocation?
Yes.
Sir, do you understand that by entering this plea, you're waiving your right to have a trial by jury?
Yes.
Do you understand that at that trial, you would have the right for the jury to determine your guilt or innocence?
Yes.
You'd have the right to see your state's witnesses testify and to have your lawyer question them.
Yes.
You would have the right to subpoena and call your own witnesses and to submit evidence on your own behalf.
Yes.
You would have the right to testify in your own defense, or you could exercise your right to remain silent.
Yes.
You understand that if you did exercise that right to remain silent, that the jury would be instructed, your silence could not be used against you.
Yes.
Do you also understand that at trial, the state would have to prove the charges beyond a reasonable doubt?
Yes, I do.
Counsel, do you reserve any matters for appeal?
No.
Mr. Martinez, do you understand that by entering this plea today, you're giving up your right to appeal any issue in this case other than whether this sentence is an appropriate lawful sentence?
Yes.
So I have a 3-page score sheet here. It has your name, your date of birth, your current case number, and your current charge and prior. On page 2, there's a total sentence point value of 16.2. Have you reviewed the score sheet with your attorney?
Yes, I have.
Do you agree that the score sheet point value of 16.2 is accurate?
Yes, I do.
Do you have any questions for your attorney about this score sheet?
No.
I also have a plea form here. It has your name and your case number on the front. This lists all of your rights and explains them. On the back, there are 2 lines that say defendant. Each line has a signature next to it. This top line here, is that your signature?
Yes, it is.
Does that indicate that you read and understood all of the rights listed on this form?
Yes.
You had an opportunity to discuss these rights with your attorney.
Yes.
And the second line, defendant signature, is that also your signature?
Yes.
Okay, does that indicate that you're satisfied with your attorney's help in this case?
Yes.
He's answered all of your questions and reviewed all of the discovery with you?
Yes, he has.
Has there been anything that you wanted to review that your attorney has not reviewed with you? Has there been anything in your case that you wanted done that your attorney has not done?
No.
Mr. Clue, would you agree that you reviewed all of the discovery and had a full and complete conversation with your client?
Yes.
Mr. Martinez, other than what's contained in that plea form and what we discussed on the record, has anybody promised you anything else in exchange for this plea?
No.
Are you entering this plea of your own free will?
Yes.
Are you being forced or threatened by anybody to enter this plea?
No.
Are you entering this plea because given all of your options, you believe this is in your own best interest?
Yes.
Sir, do you understand that as part of the probation sentence, you have the ability to petition the court for early termination, but there's no guarantee that any petition or motion for an early termination would be granted?
Yes.
Do you have any questions for your attorney about that warning?
No.
Sir, do you understand that, well, I'm unaware of any additional evidence available for testing. The controlled substance has been tested. But as far as additional evidence or DNA, do you understand that by entering this plea, no more evidence is going to be tested?
Yes.
Do you understand that if you are not a United States citizen, this plea could subject you to removal or deportation as a result?
Yes.
And do you understand that if this plea was to be used against you in a deportation proceeding, you were to be deported, that would not be grounds to withdraw this plea?
Yes.
You also understand that if the offense that you're pleading to is a sexually violent offense or a sexually motivated offense, or if you've been previously convicted of such an offense, this plea could subject you to an involuntary civil commitment as a sexually violent predator upon the completion of your sentence.
Yes.
Do you have any questions for your attorney about that warning?
No.
Mr. Khalil, would you stipulate to a factual basis in venue in Collier County for the record?
Yes.
And Mr. Martinez, you do have a co-defendant in this case. This case, the factual basis is that a residential search warrant was served on the residence that you were inside of. The co-defendant was also found with controlled substances. Do you agree today that You did not have any possession or involvement with the substances that were in the possession of your co-defendant?
Yes.
Your Honor, state would ask the court to take judicial notice of the court file. And at this time, the state would tender the plea for the court.
Any other defense comment?
Your Honor, just clarification on the early termination. Me and Mr. Frazier have spoken about that. As long as there's no violations and that he's completed everything in the halfway point, then he does have the right to petition the court.
No dispute?
Not at this point, Your Honor. If a motion's filed, then it'll be addressed at that time.
So the state will be able to argue whatever position it wishes at that time, as well as Mr. Martinez's right to bring the motion and make that request.
Yes, Your Honor.
But nothing is a guarantee.
Yes.
All right. Mr. Martinez, any other questions?
I mean, so if I lose my right to basically petition the court from here on out, right? I mean, this is the end of, but they have the right to file more motions afterwards? This isn't closed?
Well, this case is resolved now with these terms. The question was about early termination of the 18 months of supervision.
I understand.
And at 9 months, if you've completed everything and are current on all monetary amounts, you have the right to petition for that. The state has a right to object or be heard on it, or to agree to it, whatever they choose to take as a position.
That would be only based on how I acted while on probation, right?
Correct.
Not based on this current case.
The issue of early termination is primarily focused on your compliance with, but it also depends also on the underlying case and the state's position as to whether there's a need for ongoing supervision.
That's correct, Your Honor. And part of the plea negotiation was that there's no specific agreement to that. If the state was concerned with that, that would have been addressed as a specific term.
So to be clear, Mr. Martinez, even if you're in full compliance with everything, the state could, if it chose, still take the position at the hearing for that early termination that based on the circumstances of your underlying offense, supervision should continue. The court would then make a decision.
Yeah, I guess I don't really understand that, since I'm signing a plea right now on the case, and the case is closed as far as I'm concerned, because I can't petition anything else on the case, so.
You can ask for early termination of supervision at 9 months with successful completion of conditions, but you've signed up for 18.
Yeah, I understand that.
So to do it early, they have a right to object to that, but it could still be granted over their objection.
Okay.
Is that a deal breaker for you, Mr. Martinez?
No, I just, that's fine, yeah. I was just making sure that it's only based on the way that I acted in probation, not based on the case itself.
Well, no, I think the state could, as I was trying to tell you, Mr. Fraser, you tell me if you disagree, but the state, even if you're in full compliance at 9 months, since you signed up for 18, the state could choose to say and have the court consider the argument that even though you're in full compliance at 9, that based on what happened in your arrest, that you should be supervised for the 18 months you agreed to. Mr. Fraser?
So what changes? Sorry.
That's correct, Your Honor. The state's not waiving any specific objection at this point, but.
So in other words, the state could say, you signed up for 18, you should do 18.
But what I'm saying is, what changes from right now saying that if I do everything correctly, I can petition for early.
Well, again, it's the right to petition. There's no guarantee that'll be granted or the state would agree to it.
And so, Your Honor, to go into the negotiations, this morning I asked Mr. Frazier for a 12-month offer, and he had said, well, as long as he's completed everything at the halfway point, then he can early terminate.
Well, did you mean he could petition, Mr. Fraser?
That's correct, Your Honor. There was no specific agreement as to the early termination, and the state's not requiring a waiver of the right to file a motion and petition the court. It's just far too early in the process for the state to make any firm representations about how that would be addressed.
So you have the right to request it, they have the right to object if they choose, and the court would then make a decision.
I guess I just don't understand how it's too early in the process, since I'm here right now. They have the full discovery. They've gone through everything and charged me. So how is it
Well, we
too early
don't
in the
know how
process
you're
to
gonna
decide?
do on probation.
Right, which is why I'm saying if I do everything that I should do in probation, then I should be, why wouldn't I be guaranteed that early release?
Because you've signed up for 18. To do it, to grant it early is a further privilege or consideration that the state has a right to object to.
So you're saying the only reason that I would have to do that 18 is if I did something wrong on probation?
No, I haven't said that. I've said now 3 or 4 times. This is the last time, Mr.
Okay.
Martinez. Either you want the deal or you're not. I've tried to explain it to you, but I'm not here to be your advisor. I'm just here to make sure you get a fair shake. You signed up for 18. Anything less is a special consideration or privilege. They have the right to object to it for whatever reason.
Okay.
You have the right to request it. I can override their objection if I think it's appropriate.
Yes, sir.
How you perform on probation will certainly be a consideration.
Thank you, Your Honor.
All right. But again, you don't have to accept this if you aren't happy with that.
No, I was just trying to understand
Okay?
exactly what was
All right.
going on.
All right.
And
Then,
Your Honor, excuse me if I may, just, if Mr. Martinez needs a few minutes, because this does seem to be a pretty significant issue for him in the plea agreement. If he needs a few minutes to talk to counsel separately and fully understand the issue of early termination, I have no objection to that. I'd like to make sure that he's.
Do you want to recall it, Mr. Martinez? You guys
No.
speak in private?
I understand.
All right. So at this point, the court accepts the plea agreement based on the plea of no contest, the plea colloquy, and the arrest affidavit facts. As agreed, withhold adjudication, which is better for your future record, and 18 months regular supervision, reporting in Collier today, transfer immediate to Hillsborough as authorized. Substance abuse evaluation, follow recommendations. Is there any time frame on signing up for the evaluation? Any agreed time frame?
There was no specific agreement as that, Your Honor. Just.
All right. Obviously, the sooner he does it, the better.
He's already in counseling.
All right, great. Random testing, court cost $415, prosecution $100, public defender total charge $115, investigative $1,378, joint and several. Any other terms?
No, Your Honor.
Thank you for resolving your case. Please step over here for the first.
Thank you, Your Honor.
Ms. Fish, which case do you have?
Case number 19, CF 241, Stephen Johnson.
All right, Mr. Johnson. Hello, Mr. Johnson, can you hear us?
Yes, sir.
Thank you for your patience. And this is Ms. Fish for the defense, Mr. Ashby for the state, 19 CF 241. Agreed terms?
Negotiated, yes. And I would like to ask that the defendant is coming from the DeSoto work camp. He's been in custody. And there are 3 counts. Count 1, burglary, conveyance, adjudication of guilt, 30 months. Department of Corrections, credit time served as the time of the warrant being served. That would be, as of today, 749 days. No contact with the victim, Edward Finn. No trespass at 2680 70th Street, Southwest 34105. Restitution in the amount of $1,953.87 to Edward Finn.
How much was it again, the restitution?
$1,953.87.
It's,
I do have orders.
for confidential?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
Via civil lien order, court costs and costs of prosecution.
Civil lien order on the restitution?
Yes.
Okay.
I do have an order to that effect for the no trespass, no contact, as well as the civil restitution.
Okay.
Any investigative costs?
No, Your Honor.
That was on count 1. What about counts 2 and 3?
It would be the same terms, Your Honor. It'd be an adjudication of guilt, 30 months, Department of Corrections, credit for time served, no contact with the victim, no trespasses as listed as rest in the order. The restitution would be concurrent by civil restitution lien order with composite costs. Count 3, fraudulent use of a credit card, would be an adjudication of guilt, 30 months, Department of Corrections, credit for time served, no contact with the victim, no trespass at the listed address, and the restitution amount. All terms to run concurrent with each other.
So,
Yes, go ahead.
So do you want me to put 749 days, or just all credit time served?
Well, I think this is a Department of Corrections, since it will need to be stated. So is it 749 for all counts?
Yes.
Yes.
Which is credit all time served, 749. Was there any previous jail time or other Department of Corrections time involved in any of this?
He was in the Department of Corrections, in between, he was in several different counties.
On this case?
Some on these cases, others not.
Okay.
That's why
So
there were several
what it
different
should say is it'll be 700, credit all time served, which is 749 days,
Okay.
plus any other
Additional,
prior Department of Corrections
Okay.
credit on this case.
okay.
counties. No, Your Honor, that,
No?
he was not in prison on these cases. He had other charges
Oh, okay.
in other counties.
So this should capture, the 749 should capture all credit. Is that correct, Mr. Johnson?
Yes, sir.
All right. And any other clarifications?
No, Judge.
Do you wish to accept the terms, Mr. Johnson?
Yes, sir.
Please raise your right hand and be sworn.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you. And Mr. Ashby, is there any victim opposition to the plea agreement or law enforcement opposition?
No, Your Honor.
Okay.
Madam Clerk.
Yes.
Sir, can you please state your name and date of birth?
Stephen Antoine Johnson, January 2nd, 1986.
What are the last four digits of your social security number?
2714.
Have you ever been known by any of your names or aliases?
No, sir.
How far did you, where were you born?
Fort Lauderdale, Florida.
How far did you go in school?
2nd year college.
Can you read, write, and understand the English language?
Yes, sir.
Are you under the influence of any drugs or alcohol?
No, sir.
Are you taking any medications?
Yes, sir.
Are you taking those medications as prescribed?
Yes, sir.
Are you taking that medication today?
Yes, sir.
Does the fact that you've taken your medication affect your ability to understand these proceedings today?
No, sir.
Are you suffering from any mental conditions or disorders?
No, sir.
Do you understand why we are here today?
Yes, sir.
Sir, in 19 CF 241, you've been charged by information and a 3-count information with the following charges. Count 1, burglary of an unoccupied conveyance, a 3rd-degree felony punished by up to 5 years in the Department of Corrections. To that charge, how do you wish to plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No contest.
As to count 2, grand theft over 300, a 3rd-degree felony punished by up to 5 years Department of Corrections. To that charge, how do you wish to plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No contest.
And as to count 3, illegal use of a credit card more than 2 times in 6 months, a 3rd-degree felony punished by up to 5 years in Department of Corrections. To that charge, how do you wish to plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
No contest.
So you understand that theft is an enhanceable offense, meaning if you're convicted of a theft charge in the future, you can receive more jail or prison time or a higher fine.
Yes, sir.
You understand, sir, that a 3rd theft charge can be charged as a felony.
Yes, sir.
Do you understand that the maximum sentence for these charges, if they're to run consecutive, that means one after the other, is 15 years in the Department of Corrections?
Yes, sir.
So do you understand that by entering this plea, you're waiving your right to a trial by jury?
Yes, sir.
You understand you are also waiving the following rights. Your right to have a jury determine your guilt or innocence. Your right to see and hear the state's witnesses testifying, to have real or question them. Your right to subpoena, call your own witnesses and submit evidence on your behalf. Your right to testify in your own defense or to remain silent. And your right to make the state prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. Do you understand, sir, that you're waiving all those rights by entering this plea today?
Yes, sir.
Counsel, you reserved any matters for review?
No.
Sir, do you understand that you're given your right to appeal on all grounds except where this court can impose this sentence?
Sir.
Is that a yes?
Yes, sir.
Sir, have you an opportunity to review your score sheet with your attorney?
Yes, sir.
I'm holding it here in my hand. It shows you score a total sentence points of 63.8 with a lowest permissible prison sentence in months of 26.850. Sir, do you agree that this score sheet is accurate?
Yes, sir.
Also, holding here a plea of guilty or no contest to criminal charges. Have you had an opportunity to review this form front and back?
That's the form I signed in.
Maybe, I don't know if you can see me. David, you read that form? Okay. I see here that you signed, no, you have not signed it. You had an opportunity to review this form with your attorney?
Yes, I signed it here.
You signed it there? Okay. You had an opportunity to sign it while you've been in jail?
Yes, sir.
Your signature tells me that you read and understood the rights listed on the form. Do you in fact read and understand the rights listed on the plea form?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any questions for your attorney about the plea form?
Yes, sir.
Sir, you also heard that there are going to be several orders that are going to be entered against you. There's going to be a civil restitution lien order, as well as a no contact order, as well as a no trespass order. Do you have any objection to those orders being entered against you?
No, sir.
Counsel, do you have any objection to those orders being entered?
No.
No, sir.
Sir, other than what is contained in the plea form and what we just discussed on the record, has anyone promised you anything in exchange for this plea today?
No, sir.
Are you entering this plea of your own free will?
Yes, sir.
Are you being forced or threatened by anyone to enter this plea?
No, sir.
Are you pleading because given your options, you believe that this plea is in your own best interest?
Yes, sir.
Are you satisfied with the advice and counsel of your attorney?
Yes, sir.
Has she done everything you have asked and answered all of your questions?
Most definitely, sir.
Have you had opportunity to review all the discovery in this case with your attorney?
Yes, sir.
Have you had sufficient time to consider the offer, the charges, whether you want to accept the state's offer or go to trial with your attorney?
Yes, sir.
Do you need any more time to speak with your attorney?
No, sir.
Sir, I'm unaware of any physical evidence that can be tested for DNA to exonerate you. Do you understand, as a result of this plea, no physical evidence will be tested for DNA?
Yes, sir.
You understand that if you're not a U.S. citizen, you may be subjected to removal or deportation as a result of this plea.
Yes, sir.
You understand that if you're deported as a result of this case, it will not be a basis to withdraw this plea.
Yes, sir.
Do you need any additional time to discuss this with your attorney?
No, sir.
Sir, if the offense to which you're pleading is a sexually violent offense or a sexually motivated offense, or if you've been previously convicted of such an offense, this plea may subject you to involuntary civil commitment as a sexually violent predator upon completion of your sentence. Do you understand this warning, sir? Sir, do you understand that you have a right to be present physically here in the courtroom?
Yes, sir.
Do you have any objection to your plea being conducted in this manner where it's being broadcast into the courtroom through audiovisual means?
Yes, sir.
You have an objection to you wish to be physically present in the courtroom?
You're okay doing this by monitor? You're okay with that, Mr. Johnson?
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Counsel, you stipulate to a factual basis of venue for the purpose of the plea?
Yes.
United States Attorney, please report.
Any additional defense request?
No.
Counsel, I will go ahead and approve the plea agreement. Now, Mr. Johnson believes it's in his best interest. Is that correct?
Yes.
And there is no known victim opposition to the plea agreement?
That's correct, Your Honor.
All right. I do want to make a disclosure in reviewing the affidavit of arrest. I do believe I am familiar with the victim alleged in this case. However, that does not affect my willingness and ability to approve the plea agreement at this time. There's no supervision or anything to follow. It's a straight correction sentence. Does that in any way affect anyone's willingness to go forward with me presiding on this?
No.
Yeah, I'm willing to approve the plea agreement.
Not from the state.
Okay. So I just want to make that disclosure. Then based on the plea colloquy, the plea agreement, the plea of no contest, and the arrest affidavit facts, court approves the plea agreement as agreed. Concurrent terms, all counts, adjudication. 30 months Department of Corrections, credit all time served at a minimum 749 days. No contact and no trespass orders approved as submitted. Restitution 1,953.87. Lien document related thereto is approved as submitted. Court costs 415, prosecution 100. There are no investigative costs. Any other details?
Nothing from the state, Your Honor.
Thank you for resolving your case. Approved. Yes, sir.
I never heard everything was right concurrent with my prison sentence, my current prison sentence.
It is concurrent to all sentences currently being served. Is that correct?
That's fine, Your Honor, yes.
That is so ordered. Concurrent to all cases. All right, I believe we have two cases left, Brown and Zagara. I see one defendant at the jail. Is there more than one there?
We have two in there.
All right,
That's-
let me just take a 5-minute break so that I can finish clear-minded. And I'll be right back and we'll finish the two pleas just momentarily.
So do I
All
need to
rise,
add
court is in
concurrent
recess.
to any sentence now serving? Okay.
Yeah, you wanna go?
They're both there.
Think so? I think so. I think I can do that. Actually, are we on a 1B or 2B after lunch? 1B. 1B for sure, for the rest of the afternoon. Yeah.
Oh, boy, oh, boy, oh, boy.
Okay. Yeah, I can handle this one. Don't stress yourself out still. My knee hurts. I am. I do. What the other leads are doing? Ready to say I'm a wizard? No. The three of us. Oh, you're funny. The three of us. Funny. I couldn't laugh. Make me laugh. I don't know where you went. Instead of going on. I don't know where you went. Where you go? He was whining all over the place. Oh, this one. He's whining all the time. So that's what we got. So that's that in a nutshell. Sounds good. All right. I got a turkey sandwich. See it. All right. Guess what I got? Tuesday, but I didn't have any money. Guess what I got? What? Well, you know, salad. I had it after dinner tonight. I switched it up. But today's Taco Tuesday.
How long do you say we was gonna be on one?
I have a key for this. You're like the queen of the courthouse. All rise. Collier County Circuit Court is back in session.
Welcome back. You ready to resume? Clerk ready?
Yeah, Judge, they locked me out.
They locked you
I
out?
just got back in.
Oh, you did. You gotta be very careful around here. You could end up falsely imprisoned. All right, who is next?
Sneaky baits.
It'd be Michael Brown, 20 CF 17.
All right, Michael Brown, please. All right. Hello, Mr. Brown. Can you hear us?
Yes.
Very good. This is 20 CF 1736. Mr. Khalil for the defense, Mr. Ashby for the state.
Your Honor, he'd like to enter into a plea of no contest. To resolve his case will be an adjudication, 20 months DOC, credit time served. The amount of credit he has is 167 days. Court costs, cost of prosecution, and public defender fees. I'm not sure if there's a cost of investigation.
Yes, there's cost of investigation of $598 to the Collier County Sheriff's Office.
Any dispute as to the monetary amounts?
No, Your Honor.
Mr. Brown, do you understand and accept these terms?
Yes.
Do you have any questions?
No, sir, I'd like to ask this question here on the credit for the time served. Can it be wrote in that the time started on 12/3/20?
That's when it starts, Your Honor.
So this 167 days, Mr. Khalil, is calculated from the date he mentioned?
Yes, Your Honor.
Did you hear that?
Yes, sir.
So this 167 days, Mr. Khalil, calculated back to the date that you mentioned.
Okay, all right, thank you.
All right, please raise your right hand and be sworn.
Do you swear or affirm that the testimony that you give shall be the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth?
Thank you. You may lower your hand. Please answer the state's questions.
Thank you, Your Honor. Sir, can you please state your name and date of birth?
Michael Brown, 2368,
And what are the last 4 digits of your social security number?
41405.
Have you ever been known by any of their names or aliases?
No,
Where were you born?
Richmond, Virginia,
How far did you go in school?
high school graduation.
Can you read, write, and understand the English language?
Yes.
Are you under the influence of any drugs or alcohol?
No.
Are you taking any medications?
Yes.
Are you taking those medications as prescribed?
Yes, I am.
Have you taken those medications today?
Yes,
Does that medication affect your ability to understand these proceedings here today?
no,
Are you suffering from any mental conditions or disorders?
no,
You understand why we're here today, sir?
yes, I do.
Sir, in 20 CF 1736, you've been charged in a one-count information with the following charge. Count 1, grand theft of a motor vehicle, a third-degree felony punished by up to 5 years in the Department of Corrections. To that charge, how do you wish to plead? Guilty, not guilty, or no contest?
Contest.
You understand, sir, that theft is an enhanceable offense, meaning if you're convicted of this offense in the future, it receives more jail or prison time or a higher fine.
Yes,
You also understand, sir, that the Florida Department of Highway Safety and Motor Vehicles may also suspend your license for a period of time.
yes,
You understand that by entering this plea, you're waiving your right to a trial by jury?
yes,
And I may not have said that. Do you understand, sir, that theft is an enhanceable offense, meaning if you're convicted of a theft charge in the future, you receive more jail or prison time or a higher fine?
yes,
You understand that a third theft charge can be charged as a felony?
yes,
Sir, do you understand that you're waiving your right to a trial by jury?
yes,
You understand you're also waiving the following rights. Your right to have a jury determine your guilt or innocence. Your right to see and hear the state's witnesses testify and have legal or question them. Your right to subpoena, call your own witnesses to submit evidence on your behalf. Your right to testify in your own defense or to remain silent. And your right to make the state prove the charges against you beyond a reasonable doubt. You understand, sir, that you're waiving all those rights by entering this plea today.
yes,
Counsel, have you reserved any matters for appeal?
No.
Mr. Brown, do you understand you're given your right to appeal on all grounds except whether this court can impose this sentence?
yes,
Sir, have you had an opportunity to review your score sheet with your attorney while you've been in the jail?
yes,
Holding it here in my hand, it shows you score a total sentence points of 19.275. You score a total sentence points of 53.7 with a lowest permissible prison sentence in months of 19.275. Sir, do you agree that this score sheet is accurate?
yes,
Sir, have you an opportunity to review a plea form while you've been in the jail?
yes,
Have you an opportunity to sign that plea form?
yes, I have.
Your signature tells me that you read and understood the rights listed on that plea form. Did you in fact read and understand the rights listed on the plea forms?
Yes.
Do you have any questions about the plea form at this time for your attorney?
No,
So I'm also holding a confidential order of no contact as well as a confidential order of no trespass stating you will not have any contact with the listed individuals and you will not return to the listed address. Do you have any objections to these orders being entered against you?
no,
Counsel, do you have any objections to these orders being entered?
No.
Sir, otherwise contained in the plea form or what we just discussed on the record, has anyone promised you anything in exchange for this plea? Are you entering this plea of your own free will?
yes,
Are you being forced or threatened by anyone? Are you pleading because given your options, you believe that this plea is in your own best interest?
yes,
So are you satisfied with the advice and counsel of your attorney?
yes,
Has he done everything you've asked and answered all of your questions? Have you gone over all the discovery in this case with your attorney?
yes,
Have you had sufficient time to consider the offers, the charges, whether you want to accept the state's offer or go to trial with your attorney?
yes,
Do you need any more time to speak with your attorney?
no,
So I'm unaware of any physical evidence that can be tested for DNA to exonerate you. Do you understand, as a result of this plea, no physical evidence will be tested for DNA?
yes,
Do you understand that if you're not a U.S. citizen, you may be subjected to removal or deportation as a result of this plea?
yes,
Do you understand that if you're deported as a result of this case, it will not be a basis to withdraw this plea?
yes,
Do you need any additional time to discuss this with your attorney? Sir, if the offense you are pleading is a sexually violent offense or a sexually motivated offense, or if you've been previously convicted of such an offense, this plea may subject you to involuntary civil commitment as a sexually violent predator upon completion of your sentence. Do you understand this warning, sir?
yes,
Sir, do you understand you have a right to be physically present in the courtroom today to enter your plea?
yes,
Are you waiving that right to enter your plea via video monitor today?
yes,
Counsel, do you stipulate to a factual basis and a venue for the purpose of the plea?
Yes.
You understand terms of plea to the court.
Any other defense comment?
Negative.
Based on the plea agreement, plea colloquy, the plea of no contest, and arrest affidavit facts, court approves the plea agreement. Adjudication, 20 months, Department of Corrections, credit all time served at a minimum 167 days. Court costs 415, prosecution 100, public defender total charges 150, investigative 598. There is no objection or request for hearing on the monetary amounts.
Negative.
Everything is approved. Thank you for resolving your case.
Did you want me to put the no contact and the no trespassing on the judgment or not?
Yes,
Okay,
it is noted and approved.
okay.
All right, and that leaves Mr. Zagara with 3 cases. Let me just ask Officer Harrison, any issue of time in terms of your staff or issues?
Nope,
All right,
sent the other two to lunch, so I'm just waiting to finish up.
all right. 17 CF 1122, 20 CF 1336, and 1338. Will this be a plea agreement affecting all cases?
Yes, Your Honor. All counts, all cases will be concurrent. It is a DOC sentence in all cases. In the violation of probation case, on count 1,
That is the 1122
yes,
number.
Your Honor, the 17 CF
Okay,
1122, it will be 8 years, Department of Corrections, with credit for 238 days, plus prior prison credit. Count 2 will be 60.9 months, Department of Corrections, credit for 238 days, plus prior prison credit. In 20 CF, in that case, there would be a new $100 cost to the prosecution and defense and a $50 public defender application fee. The prior, it was previously ordered restitution in that case, those will be converted to civil liens. In 20 CF 1336, and count 1 will be an adjudication, 60.9 months, Department of Corrections, credit for 238 days. There'd be 415 court costs, $100 cost of prosecution and defense, a $50 application fee, and then a cost of investigation in the amount of, I don't have that written right now, it's on the worksheet I gave to Madam Clerk.
It was $846.